Welcome back to History in a Hurry. Today we're going to take a look at some of the key events that happened on March 26th in U.S. history, or just kind of North American history, if you will. So let's get started. In 1832, George Catlin, a very, very famous early American painter, began his trip up the Missouri River to visit some of the Native American tribes along that particular region of the United States, reaching all the way up to the North Dakota-Montana border. He's renowned for his very detailed and vivid paintings of Native Americans in their traditional clothing and their traditional ways of life, and really kind of brought that to the forefront to Americans who had really no true experience in terms of encounters with Native Americans, especially those on the plains. Most Americans had this vision from like James Fenimore Cooper before that. So this really helped to solidify in Americans' minds what Native Americans actually looked like in terms of the tribes and the differences between the tribes and the way they conducted themselves. Fast forward about 30 years, and we're in the middle of the Civil War in 1862, and a fairly decisive battle out in the western part of the United States, which is kind of a part of the Civil War that doesn't get talked about very much, but that's the Battle of Glorieta Pass. And in this battle, the Union is victorious in defeating the Confederate forces and driving them back into Arizona territory and eventually back into Texas, and really ending all hopes of the Confederacy taking control of the Arizona and New Mexico territories in this particular war. If we fast forward to 1875, we have a very famous event in terms of American literature, and that's the birth of Robert Frost, a renowned poet serving as the consultant in poetry to the Library of Congress from 1958 to 1959, famed for his poems such as The Road Not Taken, and really kind of helped define American poetry in the 20th century. We have a sad one to talk about, though, in 1892, and that's the death of Walt Whitman, one of the early American powerful poets of the Transcendentalist movement. He served as a nurse during the Civil War and was also very involved in the abolition movement in the years prior to the Civil War, but really renowned for poems like Song of Joys, Song of Myself, and of course, O Captain, My Captain, his lament on the death of Abraham Lincoln. Finally, in sports, in 1915, the Vancouver Millionaires win the Stanley Cup, becoming the first Pacific Coast team or West Coast team to win the Stanley Cup, defeating the Ottawa Senators in 3 straight games. This has been History in a Hurry.